Judge, good morning to you. What do you make of her response to these allegations?
Well, good morning, guys. The response was a political response, not a legal one. I mean, the actual charge here is an unethical relationship that might interfere with judgment calls made in the courtroom. She didn't respond to that. She responded in a political way. Remember, she's not an appointed prosecutor. She is elected. So she's appealing to her base. She's appealing to a racial bias in her base by saying, why treat me differently? Nobody else has been accused of this, and we know it's happened elsewhere. So that's a tacit admission of it. You know, if two lawyers came to me and said, Judge, we got to tell you, we're sleeping with each other, I would say, well, what do I care? Tell your client, because you might be making decisions that would affect the client, and those decisions might be influenced by your relationship. Well, who's the client here? The client is the state of Georgia. The client is the public. This is the state of Georgia against Donald Trump. So it sounds like she's about to fess up and basically say to the judge, doesn't affect our judgment. We'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting. So at that church Sunday, she blamed the attacks on race, which is so typical, Judge, because there are 3 prosecutors that she hired, but no one is, and she claimed that the media is not attacking the other 2 prosecutors because they're white. No, they're bringing this situation to the surface because you were having an affair with a married man who you hired to prosecute the former president. Isn't that really what's going on here?
Exactly correct, Rob. It's exactly correct. So again, she will deflect the focus from her relationship to a married man to the difference between the race between her and 2 of the other prosecutors, because we know she hired 3. That might work for her politically, but it's not going to resonate with the court. The court is concerned with whether decisions were made because of this intimate relationship as opposed to what's best for the prosecution. She may very well skate over this. This does not really affect the prosecution, even though this looks bad and it doesn't pass the smell test. This really doesn't affect the charges against the former president and his 16 co-defendants.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Another Trump trial starting today, the Eugene Carroll defamation trial. So he's planning to be in New York City for this today after his win in Iowa before a campaign event in New Hampshire. How does this case impact Trump, and how does this travel and legal endurance affect his campaign? Because he's dealing with all these court cases.
Well, his travel endurance seems to be extraordinary. That he can be on national television celebrating his tremendous victory in Iowa at 10 o'clock at night and at 10 in the morning, notwithstanding a blizzard that we have here in the Northeast, be in a federal courtroom in Lower Manhattan. But that's the way he is. This is a civil trial, so his presence is not required. This is the second trial in the E. Jean Carroll case. The first one, she alleged rape. The jury found that he didn't rape her, but he did sexually assault her. This one has to do with defamation, statements he made about her when he was in the White House, actually at a press conference outside the White House. He argued that he was immune from that. The trial judge said no. The appellate court upheld the trial judge. So the question here is damages, not what did he say and was she harmed. The court has already ruled that what he said was defamatory and she was harmed. The sole issue here is what does he have to pay her to compensate her for the harm to her personality and reputation.
And Judge, for the first time in 3 years, people had a chance to vote for Donald Trump last night in Iowa, and I think the voters there made their voices clear. 51% of the vote going for Donald Trump, and I think a lot of that was about the attacks that we've seen the former president endure over the last 3 years since he left the Oval Office. And 7 days from now, they'll be doing the same thing in New Hampshire. So we'll see if the trend sticks. Judge Andrew Napolitano, great to see you, my friend. Thank you.